Commander Hyunwoo stood in the command center of Threshold Station, staring at the view screen with tired eyes. The red glow of the dying star painted everything in shades of blood. He had not slept in 36 hours. None of them had. The Krendari fleet hung in space like a swarm of metal insects. 45 warships, each one bigger and more powerful than anything Threshold Station could field. Their weapons were charged. Their shields were up. They were waiting. Hyunwoo's hands gripped the edge of the console. His knuckles were white. Behind him, the rest of the command crew worked in silence. The only sounds were the beeping of sensors and the low hum of the station's failing life support systems. "Commander," a young officer named Daiho said quietly, "the Krendari are hailing us again." Hyunwoo nodded. "Put them through." The view screen flickered. The face of General Voth appeared. The Krendari commander had 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern on his flat face. His skin was gray and covered in scales. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding metal. "You have 24 hours remaining," Voth said. "Surrender the station or we will destroy it. There will be no mercy. No exceptions." Hyunwoo stood straight. "We have 50,000 civilians here. They need more time to evacuate." Voth's mandibles clicked together in what might have been laughter. "That is not my concern. 24 hours. The screen went dark. Daiho turned in his chair. "Sir, the evacuation is going too slow. We can only fit 2,000 people on each transport. We have 12 transports. That's 24,000 people per trip. We need at least 3 trips, and each trip takes 8 hours. Hyunwoo did the math in his head. They needed at least 24 hours just for evacuation. The Krendari had given them the same amount of time. There was no margin for error. "No time for delays. What about our defenses?" Hyunwoo asked. A woman named Yuna spoke up from the tactical station. She was not military. She was a cargo pilot who had volunteered when the crisis began. "We have 3 patrol ships. They're old. Really old. Pre-war designs. We also have 6 orbital defense platforms. They have shield generators and plasma cannons. How long can we hold?" Yuna looked at her screen. Her face was pale. "Against that fleet? Maybe an hour. Maybe less." The door to the command center slid open. Dr. Minji walked in. She was the station's chief medical officer. Her uniform was stained with blood. Dark circles ringed her eyes. "Hyunwoo," she said. She was too tired for formalities. "The hospital is full. We have 400 wounded from the last attack. I don't have enough supplies. I don't have enough staff. If they hit us again, people will die on the floor waiting for treatment." Hyunwoo felt something cold settle in his chest. "I know. Do you?" Minji's voice was sharp. "Do you really? Because I have children down there, families. People who came here for a better life. They didn't ask for a war." "None of us did," Hyunwoo said quietly. Minji's anger faded. She looked away. "I'm sorry. I'm just tired. We all are." An alarm beeped. Daiho checked his console. "Sir, incoming transmission. It's from the Galactic Coalition High Council." Finally, Hyunwoo thought. Finally, the coalition was responding to their distress calls. He had been sending messages for 3 days. 3 days of silence while the Krendari fleet moved into position. "Put it through," he ordered. The view screen changed again. This time it showed Ambassador Rix, a thin creature with too many arms and silver skin. The ambassador looked uncomfortable. "Commander Hyunwoo," Rix said, "the High Council has reviewed your situation. Are you sending reinforcements?" Hyunwoo asked. Hope flickered in his chest like a small flame. Rix was silent for a moment. "The coalition fleet is engaged in the outer territories. The Krendari have launched attacks on multiple systems. We cannot spare ships for the Velkin system at this time." The small flame died. "You're abandoning us," Hyunwoo said. His voice was flat. "The Council believes that strategic withdrawal is the best option. Evacuate all personnel and civilians. The Krendari will occupy the station. We will negotiate for its return at a later time." "There isn't enough time to evacuate everyone," Hyunwoo said. "We need at least 48 hours." Rix's alien features were hard to read, but Hyunwoo thought he saw something like guilt there. "Then you must prioritize. Save who you can. The Council is sorry, Commander, truly, but we cannot help you." The transmission ended. The command center was silent. Daiho broke the silence first. "So that's it? They're just going to let us die?" Yuna slammed her fist on her console. "Those cowards. Those damn cowards." Hyunwoo turned to look at his crew. They were watching him, waiting for orders, waiting for him to tell them what to do. He thought about his options. They could run, load as many people as possible onto transports and flee, leave the rest behind. Or they could fight. Buy time with their lives. Maybe save a few more thousand people. It was not really a choice at all. Daiho, Hyunwoo said. How long can you keep the shields running? Daeho's eyes widened. You want to fight? I want to buy time. How long? The young engineer pulled up calculations on his screen. If I divert all non-essential power, maybe 72 hours under sustained bombardment. But sir, the Krendari will break through eventually, and when they do, I know, Hyunwoo said. Yuna, I want you to take every ship we have and run combat drills. I don't care if they're cargo haulers or passenger shuttles. If it has engines, I want it ready to fight. Yuna stood up. Yes, sir. Minji, prepare the hospital for mass casualties. I know you're low on supplies. Do what you can. Minji nodded and left without a word. Hyunwoo turned to the communications officer. Send a message to all civilian transports. Priority evacuation for children, elderly, and wounded. Everyone else will have to wait. And keep broadcasting our distress signal on all frequencies. All of them. Sir, the officer said hesitantly, the coalition isn't coming. Who else is there? Hyunwoo looked back at the view screen. The Krendari fleet waited in the darkness. Patient. Confident. They knew they had already won. I don't know, Hyunwoo admitted, but we have to try. Someone out there might hear us. Someone might come. 6 hours later, the Krendari attacked. The first wave came in fast. 12 fighters, small and quick, testing the station's defenses. The orbital platforms opened fire. Plasma bolts lit up the void. 2 Krendari fighters exploded. The rest scattered. Then the real attack began. 3 Krendari cruisers moved forward and opened fire with their main batteries. Energy beams hammered into Threshold Station's shields. The entire structure shook. Lights flickered. Alarm screamed. Daeho worked frantically at his console. Shields holding at 70%, 65-60. Yuna launched their 3 patrol ships. They were small and outmatched, but they flew straight at the Krendari cruisers anyway. Their weapons fired. Small explosions rippled across Krendari shields. It's not enough, Yuna said through the comm. We're not even scratching them. One of the patrol ships took a direct hit. It spun away, trailing atmosphere and debris. The pilot was dead before he could scream. Hyunwoo watched it happen. He felt each loss like a physical blow. The Krendari pulled back after 30 minutes. They had destroyed 3 orbital platforms and 1 patrol ship. Threshold Station's shields were at 40%. It was just a test, Hyunwoo realized. They were measuring the station's strength. The real assault would come later. In the command center, an alarm beeped. It was different from the others, quieter. It came from the deep space sensors. Daeho frowned. Sir, I'm picking up something strange. What is it? A transmission. Very faint. It's coming from outside the system. The signal is... I don't know what it is. It's not any language in the Coalition database. Hyunwoo walked over to Daeho's station. Play it. Static filled the room. Beneath the static was something else. A pattern, almost like music but not quite. And beneath that, something that might have been words. Can you clean it up? Hyunwoo asked. I'll try. The static cleared slightly. The pattern became clearer. It was definitely intentional. Someone or something was trying to communicate. Where is it coming from? Hyunwoo asked. Daeho checked his sensors. Unknown. The signal is weak, but it's getting stronger. Whatever it is, it's getting closer. For the first time in days, Hyunwoo felt something other than despair. Maybe someone had heard them after all. The evacuation was chaos. Captain Ji-won stood at the docking bay entrance trying to maintain order. People pushed and shoved, desperate to get on the next transport. Children cried. Parents screamed. Security officers struggled to keep the crowd from crushing itself. One at a time, Ji-won shouted. Children and elderly first. Everyone else will get their turn. A man grabbed her arm. Please, my wife is pregnant. She needs to get on this ship. Ji-won looked at the woman behind him. She was holding her stomach, her face pale with pain or fear or both. Get her on board, Ji-won told a security officer. Quickly. The woman and her husband disappeared into the crowd moving toward the transport. Ji-won checked her datapad. The transport could hold 2,000 people. They had loaded 1,900. 100 more and they would have to seal the doors. She hated this. Hated choosing who lived and who waited. waited for a next transport that might never come. Through the viewport, Jiwan could see the Krendari fleet. They were closer now, dark shapes against the stars. Patient predators, her communicator beeped. Captain Jiwan, this is command. You're cleared for departure. Understood, she said. Sealing the docking bay now. People screamed as the doors began to close. Hands reached through the gap. Security officers gently pushed them back. The doors sealed with a heavy clang. Inside the docking bay, 2,000 people waited in silence. They knew they were the lucky ones. They knew others would be left behind. Jiwan walked through the crowd to the bridge. Her crew was already running pre-flight checks. All systems ready, her co-pilot said. Docking clamps released. We're clear to launch. Take us out, Jiwan ordered. And pray the Krendari let us through. The transport lifted off and moved toward the bay doors. They opened slowly, revealing the void beyond. Stars and darkness and the red glow of the dying sun. The transport accelerated. Behind them, Threshold Station grew smaller. Ahead, the Krendari blockade waited. 2 Krendari fighters moved to intercept them. Jiwan's hands gripped the arms of her chair. Her transport had no weapons, no shields worth mentioning. If the Krendari wanted to destroy them, there was nothing she could do. The fighters circled the transport like sharks. Jiwan held her breath. 2,000 people held their breath with her. Then the fighters pulled away. Jiwan released the breath she had been holding. They're letting us go. For now, her co-pilot said quietly. Back on Threshold Station, Sunho sat in a maintenance tunnel with a stolen datapad. He was 16 years old. His parents were on one of the transports. They thought he was with them. He had slipped away at the last moment. Sunho was good with computers. Very good. He had hacked his first system when he was 12. Now he was breaking into the Coalition's deep space relay network. It took him 20 minutes to bypass the security. When he got in, he started searching through the message logs. Every distress call Threshold Station had sent. Every response. Every conversation, most of it was useless. But then he found something interesting. There was a response to their distress call. Not from the Coalition. From somewhere else. The language was strange. The signal was encrypted. But someone had answered them. Sunho pulled up the signal data. He started running decryption programs. His datapad was not powerful enough for serious code breaking, but he could at least analyze the pattern. The signal was repeating. Every 6 hours it repeated, and each time it repeated it was stronger, closer. Someone was coming. Sunho grabbed his datapad and ran toward the command center. In the command center, Hyunwoo was watching the tactical display. The Krendari had pulled back after their test attack. Now they were regrouping, preparing for the next assault. Daeho was still working on the strange transmission they had detected. He had cleaned up most of the static, but the language remained unknown. I think it's a countdown, Daeho said. See this pattern? It repeats in decreasing intervals, like someone counting down to something. Counting down to what? Hyunwoo asked. I don't know. But based on the rate of decrease, I think it reaches 0 in about 12 hours. 12 hours. The same time the Krendari had given them before the final assault. The door burst open. Sunho ran in out of breath. Commander, he gasped. I found something. Who are you? Hyunwoo demanded. How did you get in here? My name is Sunho. I was supposed to be on the transport. But I stayed. I hacked the Coalition network. Sir, someone answered our distress call. Hyunwoo walked over to the boy. What are you talking about? Sunho held up his datapad. This signal. It's not just random noise. It's a response. Someone heard us and they're coming. Daeho took the datapad and connected it to his console. His eyes went wide. He's right. This is definitely a response signal. And look at these coordinates. A point appeared on the tactical display. It was at the edge of the system. Empty space. There's nothing there, Yuna said. There is now, Daeho replied. I'm detecting a massive energy spike at those coordinates. Something is coming out of faster than light travel. Everyone in the command center stopped what they were doing. They all turned to look at the view screen. Hyunwoo felt his heart beating faster. Show me. The view screen zoomed in on the coordinates. At first there was nothing. Then space itself seemed to tear open. Light poured out of the tear. Not normal light. Something brighter. Something wrong. 6 shapes emerged from the light. Ships. They were unlike anything Hyunwoo had ever seen. Massive, angular, covered in weapons. They looked like they had been designed by someone who had never heard of aesthetics. Someone who only cared about killing. The ships were painted dark gray, almost black. Strange symbols were written on their hulls. The largest ship was at least twice the size of a Krendari battleship. "What are those?" Yuna whispered. "I don't know," Hyunwoo said. "Daeho, are you getting any readings?" Daeho shook his head in disbelief. "Their power signatures are off the scale. Their engines are using some kind of technology I've never seen. And their weapons. Sir, each of those ships has enough firepower to level a planet." The Krendari had noticed the new arrivals. Their fleet was repositioning, turning to face the unknown ships. "They're hailing us," the communications officer said. "Audio only." "Put it through," Hyunwoo ordered. Static filled the command center. Then a voice spoke. It was human. Or at least it sounded human. The accent was strange, but the words were in perfect galactic standard. "Threshold Station, this is Admiral Soman of the Terran Confederacy. We received your distress call. We're here to help." Terran? Hyunwoo had never heard of them. There was no species called Terran in any coalition database. "Who are you?" Hyunwoo asked. "We're from Earth," the voice replied. "We're human. And we don't let people die when we can prevent it." Before Hyunwoo could respond, General Voth's voice cut across the channel. "Unknown vessels, you are interfering in Krendari military operations. Stand down immediately or you will be destroyed." There was a pause. When Admiral Soman spoke again, her voice was cold. "We don't recognize your authority to slaughter civilians. You have two options. Leave the system now or we will remove you by force." Voth's mandibles clicked in anger. "You dare threaten the Krendari Empire? You are 6 ships. We are 45. You will be destroyed." "We've heard that before," Soman said. "It didn't work out well for the people who said it." The Krendari fleet opened fire. Energy beams lanced across space toward the Terran ships. Missiles launched in waves. The Krendari were not subtle. They were trying to overwhelm the newcomers with pure firepower. The Terran ships did not even try to dodge. Their shields flared to life. And the Krendari weapons simply stopped. The energy beams dissipated. The missiles exploded harmlessly against invisible barriers. "Impossible," Daeho breathed. "Those shields shouldn't be able to stop that much firepower." The Terran ships returned fire. What happened next was not a battle. It was a massacre. The Terran weapons were different from anything in the galaxy. Instead of energy beams, they fired solid projectiles. But these projectiles were moving at impossible speeds. When they hit Krendari shields, the shields simply ceased to exist. When they hit Krendari hulls, the ships exploded. Yuna was watching the tactical display with wide eyes. Their weapons are moving at near light speed. The kinetic energy alone it's insane. 3 Krendari cruisers vanished in balls of fire. Their shields had not even slowed the Terran weapons. Small craft launched from the Terran ships. They were fighters, but they moved like nothing Yuna had ever seen. They accelerated at speeds that should have killed their pilots. They turned at angles that should have been impossible. The fighters tore through the Krendari formation like wolves through sheep. Are those pilots even alive? Yuna wondered aloud. They have to be, Daeho said. Look at the flight patterns. Those are too creative to be automated. But the G-forces, they should be dead. One of the Terran fighters engaged 3 Krendari interceptors. The fight lasted 8 seconds. All 3 Krendari ships were destroyed. The Terran fighter did not even have a scratch. Hyunwoo watched in stunned silence. The Krendari fleet was breaking apart. Ships were trying to retreat. Others were trying to regroup. Nothing worked. The Terrans were everywhere at once. The largest Terran ship, the one Admiral Soman was commanding, moved toward the Krendari flagship. It fired a single weapon, a beam of pure white light that looked almost solid. The Krendari flagship's shields held for exactly 2 seconds. The Terran medical teams arrived within an hour. Dr. Minji watched as they materialized in her hospital bay. One moment the space was empty. The next moment 6 people in white uniforms stood there. They had simply appeared out of nothing. Transporter technology, one of them explained. She was a tall woman with dark hair tied back. I'm Dr. Hana, we're here to assist. Minji stared. You can teleport people? Yes, is that unusual? We don't have that technology. Nobody in the coalition does. Dr. Hana looked surprised. Really? It's been standard on Earth for 20 years. Come on, let's not waste time. Show me your patients. Minji led them through the hospital. Every bed was full. People lay on the floor. The wounded from the Krendari attack filled every available space. Dr. Hana moved quickly from patient to patient. Her team followed, scanning people with devices Minji did not recognize. The devices made soft humming sounds and displayed information in languages Minji could not read. "This man has internal bleeding," Dr. Hana said, pointing to a patient Minji had marked as critical. "You were planning to operate?" "Yes, but I don't have enough time. I have 30 other people who need surgery." Dr. Hana pulled out a small device from her medical kit. It looked like a metal cylinder with lights on one end. She ran it over the patient's torso. The lights changed color. The patient's breathing steadied. "What did you just do?" Minji asked. "Bioregeneration field. It speeds up the body's natural healing. The internal bleeding should stop in about 10 minutes. He'll be fine." Minji looked at the device, then at Dr. Hana. "Can you do that for everyone? That's why we're here." Over the next 4 hours, the Terran medical team treated every critical patient in the hospital. They used technology that seemed like magic to Minji. Wounds closed without surgery. Broken bones healed in minutes. People who should have died simply got better. "How is this possible?" Minji asked as she watched a child's burned skin regenerate. Dr. Hana smiled. "Human medical science focused heavily on regeneration after the gene wars. We nearly destroyed ourselves. When we survived, we decided to get very good at healing. It seemed important. Gene wars? Long story. Not a happy one." Dr. Hana's smile faded. "Let's just say humans know a lot about suffering. That's why we're good at ending it." In the command center, Hyunwoo was preparing to board the Terran flagship. Admiral Somin had invited him for formal first contact. The invitation had been polite but firm. "Are you sure about this?" Minji asked. She had come to see him off. "We don't know anything about these people." "They saved us," Hyunwoo said. "That's all I need to know for now." They also destroyed a Krendari fleet in 12 minutes. That kind of power is terrifying. Hyunwoo adjusted his uniform. "Would you rather the Krendari were still out there?" Minji was quiet for a moment. "No, but be careful." The transport beam was unlike anything Hyunwoo had experienced. One moment he was on Threshold Station. The next moment he was standing in a large room filled with light. The transition was instant and disorienting. 2 Terran soldiers stood at attention nearby. They wore armor that looked functional rather than ceremonial. Their weapons were compact but looked deadly. "Commander Hyunwoo," one of them said. "Welcome aboard the Indomitable. The Admiral is waiting for you." They led him through corridors that were wide and well lit. The ship's interior was clean but plain. No decorations. No art. Everything had a purpose. They passed crew members who all wore the same gray and black uniforms. The crew looked human, or at least very close to human. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. But there was something about the way they moved. Efficient, precise, like soldiers rather than sailors. The doors to the bridge opened automatically. The bridge was larger than Threshold Station's entire command center. Dozens of stations, each one monitoring different systems. View screens covered the walls, showing every angle around the ship. In the center stood a woman in a black uniform with silver insignia. She was older, maybe 50, with short gray hair and sharp eyes. When she saw Hyunwoo, she smiled. "Commander Hyunwoo." "I'm Admiral Somin. Welcome aboard." Hyunwoo bowed slightly. "Admiral, thank you for saving my people." "That's what we do." Somin gestured to a side room. "Come, we have much to discuss." The room was an office. Simple furniture. A desk with a computer terminal. One wall was a view screen showing Threshold Station. "Please sit," Somin said. Hyunwoo sat. "Admiral, I have many questions. I imagine you do. Let me answer the first one. We're human. We're from a planet called Earth. It's about 600 light years from here. I've never heard of Earth. It's not in any coalition database." "That's intentional," Somin said. "We've been very careful about contact with other species. We've been watching the galactic powers for 40 years. Learning. Preparing. Preparing for what?" Somin leaned back in her chair. "Humanity discovered faster than light travel 42 years ago. It was an accident, actually. A researcher named Dr. Kim was studying quantum mechanics and created a bubble of warped space in her laboratory. She accidentally fell into it and ended up on Mars. Despite the tension, Hyunwoo almost smiled. That must have been a surprise. She thought she had died. When she realized she was alive and on another planet, she had a panic attack. Then she had another panic attack when she realized she could not breathe Mars's atmosphere. Fortunately, her research team tracked her bubble's trajectory and rescued her within an hour. And from that accident, you built ships like this? Someone's expression grew more serious. We built these ships because of what we found when we started exploring. We found the Coalition. We found the Krendari Empire. We found dozens of other powers, all fighting for territory and resources, and we found that the galaxy is not a safe place. So you decided to stay hidden? We decided to be careful. We sent stealth probes to observe. We intercepted communications. We learned your languages. We studied your technologies. And we prepared for the day when we would need to reveal ourselves. Why now? Hyunwoo asked. Why come to help us? Soman stood and walked to the view screen.
Because 40 years ago, humanity nearly destroyed itself.
We had weapons that could crack continents, biological weapons that could kill billions. We came within hours of making Earth uninhabitable. She turned to look at Hyunwoo. We survived barely, and we decided that if we ever found other people in danger, we would help them. We would not let others suffer when we had the power to prevent it. Even if it meant revealing yourselves? Especially then. Soman's voice was firm. We spent 40 years building this fleet, training our people, developing new technologies, all so that when the time came we would be ready. Your distress call reached us 3 days ago. We debated for 6 hours. Then we voted. The decision was unanimous. And the Galactic Coalition? Hyunwoo asked. They refused to help us. What will you do about them? We're already in contact with them. Somin touched a control on her desk. The view screen changed to show another room. 3 alien figures sat at a conference table. One of them was Ambassador Rix. This is Elder Vren, head of the Coalition High Council, Somin said. We've been having a very interesting conversation. Elder Vren spoke. His voice was deep and slow. The Coalition did not know of Earth's existence. We are surprised by your capabilities. I imagine you are, Somin said. There was no warmth in her voice. You were willing to let 50,000 civilians die rather than send help. Now you're surprised that someone else had different values? Rick spoke up. Admiral Soman, you must understand. The Coalition has limited resources. We cannot defend every system. Then you should not claim sovereignty over systems you cannot defend, Somin replied. From this moment, the Velkan system is under Terran Confederacy protection. Any attack on this system will be considered an act of war against Earth. Elder Vren was silent for a long moment. That is a bold claim for a species we just learned existed. It's not a claim. It's a fact. You saw what we did to the Krendari fleet. Do you want to test whether we can do the same to your forces? That sounds like a threat. It's a promise. We didn't come here to conquer. We came to help. But we won't stand by and watch people die because of political convenience. The conference room transmission ended. Hyunwoo sat in stunned silence. You just threatened the entire Galactic Coalition, he said. No, Soman corrected. I promised to protect your people. There's a difference. They won't like this. The Coalition doesn't tolerate independent action. The Coalition will adapt or it will become irrelevant. Soman sat down again. Commander, Earth is not interested in replacing one empire with another. We're offering alliance, not conquest. The Velkan system can remain independent, or it can join the Terran Confederacy. That choice is yours. What does joining the Confederacy mean? Protection, trade, technology exchange, and most importantly, you'll have a voice. We believe in democracy. Every member world gets representation in our parliament. Hyunwoo thought about the Coalition. They had abandoned Threshold Station without a second thought. The Terrans had risked everything to save them. I'll need to discuss this with my people, he said. Of course, take all the time you need. Soman stood. In the meantime, we'll remain in the system. We've set up a defensive perimeter. No one will threaten you again. A young officer approached. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Krendari Empire. It's marked as high priority. 3 weeks had passed since the Terrans arrived. Threshold Station looked different now. Terran engineers had repaired the damaged sections. New shield generators had been installed, stronger than anything the Coalition had ever built. The orbital defense platforms were being rebuilt with Terran technology. Daiho spent every waking hour working with the Terran engineering teams. His eyes were wide with wonder as they explained their quantum fusion reactors. You're generating antimatter on demand? He asked, looking at the reactor schematics. That's impossible. The energy requirements alone would require a reactor to power the reactor. A Terran engineer named Kyung-soo smiled. That was the problem for a long time. Then Dr. Chen figured out how to create a self-sustaining loop. The reactor produces enough energy to maintain its own antimatter generation. Once you start it, it runs indefinitely. Until it explodes, Deho said nervously. They don't explode. Well, they did during the early tests. Dr. Chen lost 3 research stations before she got the containment fields right. But that was 30 years ago. These reactors are completely safe. Deho looked at the reactor core through the observation window. It glowed with soft blue light. It looked beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Can I get a copy of these schematics? He asked. That depends, Kyungsoo said. Are you planning to join the Confederacy? Deho had been thinking about that question for weeks. So had everyone on Threshold Station. Commander Hyunwoo had called for a vote. Every adult resident would decide whether to remain independent, rejoin the coalition, or accept the Terran offer of membership in the Confederacy. The vote would take place in 2 days. Meanwhile, the Terrans were making their case. They had sent Ambassador Borum to explain what joining the Confederacy would mean. Borum was a short woman with glasses and a friendly smile. She did not look like a diplomat. She looked like someone's grandmother. But when she spoke, her words carried weight. The Terran Confederacy is a union of free worlds, she explained at a public meeting. We have 37 member planets. Each one maintains its own government, its own laws, its own culture. We don't believe in forcing everyone to be the same. Then what's the point of joining? Someone in the audience asked. Protection, trade, technology, and most importantly, representation. Each member world sends delegates to our parliament. You get a voice in decisions that affect you. The coalition never gave you that. Another person spoke up. But you're humans. All of you. Why would you let aliens join your confederacy? Borum's smile faded slightly. Because we learned the hard way that dividing people into us and them leads to suffering. Earth had over 200 nations before unification. We fought wars over religion, resources, and skin color. Millions died. When we finally unified, we promised ourselves we would never make those distinctions again. How do we know you won't change your minds? The questioner pressed. How do we know you won't become like the coalition? Or the Krendari? Borum was quiet for a moment. You don't, we can't prove our intentions. We can only show you our actions. We came when no one else would. We're offering help without demanding anything in return. If you vote to remain independent, we'll respect that. We'll still protect you. We'll still trade with you. The only thing we ask is that you judge us by what we do, not by what you fear we might do. The audience was silent. Then someone started clapping. Others joined in. Not everyone, but enough. In the hospital, Dr. Minji was learning Terran medical techniques from Dr. Hana. They had become friends over the past 3 weeks. Friends and colleagues. This bioregeneration device, Minji said, holding up the cylinder Hana had used on her patients. How does it work? It emits a field that stimulates cellular regeneration at the molecular level. Think of it as telling your cells to work faster and more efficiently. But how do you prevent cancer? Rapid cell division usually leads to mutations. The field includes genetic correction sequences. It reads the patient's DNA and ensures all new cells match the original template. Mutations are corrected before they can spread. Minji shook her head in amazement. We're decades away from this level of technology. Maybe not, Hana said. If you join the Confederacy, we'll share everything. Medical technology, engineering, agriculture, everything we know. Why? What do you get out of it? Partners, allies, friends. Hana smiled. And honestly, we get to learn from you too. You've been living on a space station for generations. Your expertise in closed environment life support is better than ours. We could learn a lot. I never thought of it that way, Minji admitted. Across the station, Yuna was in a Terran fighter simulator. She had been training for 2 weeks. The Terrans had offered her a position in their fighter corps if she wanted it. The simulator cockpit was cramped and filled with displays. It looked nothing like the cargo haulers she was used to flying. Everything was optimized for combat, speed, maneuverability, survival. Engage simulation, the computer said. Enemy fighters appeared on her screens, 6 of them moving fast. Yuna pushed the throttle forward. The simulated G-forces pressed her into the seat. According to the readouts, she was pulling 8 Gs. In a real fighter, she would be unconscious, but the Terran flight suits had some kind of pressure system that kept blood flowing to her brain. She targeted the first enemy fighter and fired, missed. The fighter was too fast. Don't lead the target. a voice said in her ear. It was Colonel Minho, the Terran Marine who was supervising her training. Let the targeting computer do that. You just focus on positioning. Yuna tried again. This time she let the computer handle the aiming. She focused on getting into position. The targeting system locked on. She fired. Direct hit better, Minho said. But you're thinking too much. Trust your instincts. Trust the ship. It's smarter than you are. That should have been insulting. Instead, it was reassuring. The ship had artificial intelligence that could react faster than any pilot. Yuna just needed to tell it what she wanted and it would figure out how to do it. 5 more enemy fighters. Yuna stopped thinking. She felt the battle instead of analyzing it. Where to go, when to fire, how to move. The simulation ended. All enemy fighters destroyed. Yuna had taken 0 damage. Not bad, Minho said. You're learning. Another month of training and you'll be ready for real missions. Real missions against who? Yuna asked. The Krendari. Maybe others. The galaxy is a dangerous place. We need pilots who can protect people. Yuna thought about the battle 3 weeks ago, the way the Terran fighters had moved, the way they had destroyed the Krendari fleet. I want to be that good, she said. You will be. Keep training. In the command center, Hyunwoo was meeting with a Terran intelligence officer named Captain Yunji. She had arrived yesterday with classified information. We need to show you something, Yunji said. She pulled up a holographic display. It showed the galactic map. Coalition territory was marked in blue. Krendari Empire in red. Dozens of smaller powers in other colors. This is the current political situation, Yunji explained. The Coalition controls the core systems. The Krendari are expanding on the eastern border. Small powers like your Velkan system are caught in between. I know all this, Hyunwoo said, but you don't know this. Yunji touched a control. The map changed. Yellow dots appeared throughout Coalition and Krendari territory. These are Terran monitoring stations. We've had them in place for 30 years. They're stealth satellites. Invisible to normal sensors. They've been watching everything. Hyunwoo stared at the map. There were hundreds of yellow dots. You've been spying on us for 30 years? Yes, we needed to understand the political situation before revealing ourselves. What we learned was not encouraging. Yunji pulled up another display. This one showed statistics, trade agreements, military deployments, diplomatic communications. The Coalition is corrupt, she said bluntly. The High Council makes decisions based on bribes and political favors. They abandon frontier systems like yours because protecting you doesn't benefit the core worlds. I suspected as much, Hyunwoo said. The Krendari are worse. They're expansionist, aggressive. They believe might makes right. If we hadn't intervened here, they would have enslaved your population. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to understand what you're choosing between. The Coalition will take you back. They'll apologize for abandoning you. They'll promise protection. But it will be a lie. Next time you're in danger, they'll abandon you again. Yunji changed the display one more time. This time it showed Earth, a blue and white planet orbiting a yellow star. This is our home, she said. 300 years ago, Earth almost destroyed itself. Nuclear weapons, biological warfare. We came so close to extinction that you can still see the scars on some continents. What saved you? Hyunwoo asked. We did. Humanity chose to survive. We put aside our differences. We worked together, and we promised ourselves that we would never let it happen again. Not to us and not to anyone else if we could prevent it. That's a bold promise. It's the only promise worth making. Yunji looked at Hyunwoo. We're not perfect. We still have problems. We still make mistakes, but we try. Every single day we try to be better than we were yesterday. Hyunwoo thought about the Coalition, about Ambassador Rix's cold dismissal when Threshold Station needed help. Then he thought about Admiral Soman arriving. 3 months after Threshold Station joined the Confederacy, everything changed. Commander Hyunwoo was now the Terran liaison for the Velkan system. His new uniform bore the Confederacy insignia, a blue Earth surrounded by stars. He still commanded the station's defense forces, but now he had real ships to command. The Terrans had left a squadron of 6 cruisers for system defense. He was in the command center when the warning came. Sir, Deho called out from his console. Long-range sensors are detecting a massive energy signature. Multiple ships entering the system from Krendari space. Hyunwoo felt his stomach drop. How many? Still counting. At least 300. No, 400. Sir, it's the entire Krendari battle fleet. The view screen showed what the sensors were detecting. Ships, hundreds of them. Battleships, cruisers, carriers, destroyers. The full might of the Krendari Empire, all heading toward Threshold Station. Get me Admiral Soman, Hyunwoo ordered. Now. The transmission connected within seconds. Soman's face appeared on screen. She looked calm, but her eyes were sharp. We see them, Commander. The second fleet is already on its way. They'll arrive in 6 hours. 6 hours. They'll be here in 4. We know. Hold the line, Commander. We're coming. The transmission ended. Hyunwoo turned to his crew. They were all watching him. Waiting for orders. Evacuate all non-essential personnel, he said. Activate all defense platforms. Charge all weapons. And get me Captain Yuna. Yuna was in her fighter when the call came. She had graduated from training 2 months ago. Now she commanded a squadron of 12 Terran fighters, all piloted by volunteers from Threshold Station. Yuna, this is Hyunwoo. The Krendari are here. 400 ships. You need to launch now. Yuna felt her heart racing. This was different from simulations. This was real. People would die today. Maybe including her. Understood, Commander. All fighters prepare for launch. Her squadron responded immediately. They were ready. They had been training for this moment. The fighters launched into space. 12 small craft against a fleet that could destroy planets. The odds were impossible. But they had Terran technology. They had training. And they had something to protect. Dr. Minji was evacuating the hospital when the alarm sounded. Patients who could move were being transferred to deep shelter areas. Those who could not move were being prepped for emergency transport. Dr. Hana materialized beside her, brought by the transporter beam from one of the Terran cruisers in orbit. I'm staying, Hana said simply. You'll need help. It's not safe, Minji protested. Neither is surgery during a battle. But we do what we must. In Terran space, Fleet Admiral Taeyong stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Relentless. Around him, 30 warships prepared for faster-than-light jump. The Second Fleet, Earth's Hammer. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Jump in 3 minutes, Taeyong ordered. We're going to arrive in the middle of that Krendari fleet. Be ready for immediate combat. Behind the Second Fleet, Chancellor Saiwan watched from Earth. The Terran Parliament had voted unanimously for military action. The Krendari had declared war. Now Earth would show them what that meant. The Confederacy protects its own, Saiwan had said in his address to Parliament. We will not abandon Threshold Station. We will not let tyranny win. Today humanity makes its stand. At Threshold Station, the Krendari fleet arrived. Warlord Kess stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds. Around him, 400 ships formed a massive battle formation. He had spent 3 months planning this assault. 3 months gathering forces. 3 months dreaming of revenge. Open a channel to the station, he ordered. Hyunwoo's face appeared on the screen. Commander Hyunwoo, Kess said. His voice was filled with satisfaction. You made a mistake allying with the Terrans. Today you will pay for that mistake. Surrender now, and I will only execute you and your senior officers. Refuse and I will kill everyone on that station. Hyunwoo stared back at the Krendari warlord. We will never surrender to you. Then you will die. All of you. Kess cut the transmission. All ships commence attack. The Krendari fleet opened fire. Energy beams crossed the void. Missiles launched by the thousands. The sheer volume of firepower was overwhelming. Threshold Station's shields flared bright as they absorbed the assault. Shields at 80%, Daeho reported. 70, 65, return fire. Hyunwoo ordered. The defense platforms and Terran cruisers fired back. Their weapons were more advanced than the Krendari's, but they were outnumbered 60 to 1. For every Krendari ship they damaged, 10 more took its place. Yuna led her fighter squadron into the battle. They were fast and maneuverable, dodging between capital ships targeting weapon systems and engines. Stay in pairs, she ordered. Watch each other's backs. Her wingman was a young pilot named Junho. He had been a cargo loader 3 months ago. Now he flew a multi-million credit fighter into combat. 3 fighters on our tail, Junho called out. I see them. Break left on my mark. 3, 2, 1 mark. They split apart. The Krendari fighters tried to follow both of them and lost focus. Yuna looped around and got behind them. Her targeting computer locked on. She fired. 2 Krendari fighters exploded. The third fled, good kill, Junho said, but there were too many. For every Krendari fighter they destroyed, 5 more appeared. The battle was turning into a slaughter. On Threshold Station, the shields were failing. Deho worked frantically to reroute power, but it was not enough. Shields at 20%, he reported. We can't hold much longer. One of the Terran cruisers moved to intercept a salvo of missiles aimed at the station. The missiles hit the cruiser instead. Its shields collapsed. The next salvo tore through its hull. The ship broke apart in a ball of fire. Hyunwoo watched good people die protecting his station. He felt helpless, useless. They needed help. They needed it now. Where is the second fleet? He demanded. Still 3 minutes out, Deho replied. 3 minutes might as well be 3 hours. Then something changed. A Krendari battleship, one of the largest in their fleet, suddenly stopped firing. Its engines went dark. Its shields dropped. What happened? Warlord Kess demanded. Why did that ship stop? Unknown, Warlord. We're trying to contact them. Another ship went dark. Then another. Within 60 seconds, 20 Krendari ships had lost power. On those ships, Terran Marines materialized on the bridges. They had been transported directly through the Krendari shields using technology the Krendari did not know existed. Colonel Minho led the assault on the Destroyer of Worlds. His team of 12 Marines appeared in a flash of light, weapons already firing. Krendari crew members fell before they could react. Secure the bridge, Minho ordered. Disable all weapons. The battle for the bridge lasted 45 seconds. When it was over, Warlord Kess was on his knees, his 4 eyes wide with shock. How? He gasped. How did you get on my ship? Minho pointed his weapon at the Warlord. We're human. We're very good at killing when we need to be. At that moment, space itself tore open. The second fleet arrived. 30 Terran warships materialized in the middle of the Krendari formation. They appeared without warning, without signatures, simply there where they had not been before. Fleet Admiral Taeyong stood on his bridge and smiled grimly. All ships, weapons free. Show them what happens when you threaten the Confederacy. The Terran fleet opened fire. What followed was not a battle. It was an execution. Terran weapons technology had advanced in the 3 months since the first battle. New antimatter torpedoes that ignored shields. Directed energy weapons that could cut through capital ships like they were made of paper. Nanite swarms that dissolved enemy hulls at the molecular level. The Krendari fleet tried to fight back. They outnumbered the Terrans 10-1, but numbers meant nothing against superior technology and tactics. Terran fighters, piloted by artificial intelligence and human pilots working in perfect coordination, swept through the Krendari formation. They were too fast to hit, too agile to corner. Yuno watched in awe as Terran reinforcement fighters joined the battle. They moved like they were dancing. Every motion was precise. Every shot was lethal. All threshold fighters, break off and return to station, a voice said over the comm. We'll take it from here. Yuna did not argue. She led her squadron back to the station, grateful to be alive. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it was over, the Krendari fleet was destroyed. Over 300 ships were either disabled or destroyed. The rest had surrendered. Warlord Kess was brought before Fleet Admiral Taeyong on the bridge of the Relentless. The Krendari commander was in chains, his ornate armor stripped away. You have lost, Taeyong said simply. Your fleet is destroyed. Your military is broken. What happens next is up to you. Kess said nothing. His 4 eyes stared at the deck. The Terran Confederacy is offering terms, Taeyong continued. You will sign a treaty limiting your military forces. You will recognize the independence of all frontier worlds. You will pay reparations to those you have harmed. In exchange, we will not invade your homeworld. We will not destroy your empire. We will give you a chance to rebuild as a peaceful civilization. And if we refuse, Kess asked quietly, then we will remove your government and install one that will accept. We have no desire to conquer you, but we will not allow you to threaten innocent people ever again. Kess was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. I will sign your treaty.